You know that argument that appears in literally every fandom. You point out something in a story that doesn't make any sense, and someone immediately replies, "Bro, there are dragons and it's a world with magic. That's what bothers you?" And somehow the conversation ends there. Every time I open TikTok and a post about Star Wars or House of the Dragon pops up, especially now that season 3 is out. By the way, Team Black here, fuck the High Towers. Every time I see one of those posts, the comment section is full of people like this. I mean, I genuinely don't understand what goes on these people's heads. Why can't they tell the difference between bad writing in fiction and logic in real life? People think criticism only applies to realistic stories. Like if a story has magic, aliens, superpowers, monster, whatever, suddenly logic disappears. But that's not true. Actually, the more unrealistic a world becomes, the more important the rules become. I think people confuse two completely different things. Accepting impossible things and accept things that don't make sense. Those are not the same. When you start a fantasy story and there are dragons, cool, I accept dragons. Is there magic? Lovely, it's fine. That's a part of entering the world. That's the deal between the audience and the story. You tell me the rules and I agree to follow them. But once you establish those rules, you can randomly ignore them. Another dragon wearing a purple dress riding the jets in LA. That's where people miss the point. Because we have comment like this. Yep. That argument never made sense to me. I think this is one of the dumbest arguments someone can make, and I'll explain why. Whenever I hear an argument like or this, I generally start thinking that inside that person's head, there's nothing. Example, imagine episode 1 establishes that travels take weeks, characters prepare supplies, people talk about how dangerous the journey is, all arts depend on the distance. Now season 8 happens, and suddenly somebody throws the same distance in 5 minutes because the plot needs them there. And if somebody points it out, like me, there's always that one guy, bro, there's magic. Okay. And what does magic have to do with the travel time? The existence of fantasy does not delete consequence or logic. Is that hard to understand? So yeah, this. In Fast and Furious, you probably find one of the best examples of things that just don't belong to make absolutely no fucking sense. The series established from the beginning that it was an action franchise about illegal street racing cars and family. Because la familia es muy importante. And then suddenly, we have cars flying over the wooden bridges that are collapsing behind them, drifting on top of the mountains while rocks are falling back, people holding helicopters down with their bare hands like Captain America. And Vin Diesel ends up in space with a Dodge, driving in space. At that point, consistency went completely out of the window, and the franchise got to a point where it barely made any sense anymore. At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if they start time traveling and racing against a T-Rex being ridden by the Rock. And this is where people usually misunderstand criticism. When someone says, that scene doesn't make sense, most of the time they are not saying, that couldn't happen in real life. They are saying, that couldn't happen in this story. Big difference. Just fiction creates expectation, and expectation creates tension. And every story needs consistency, for God's sake. That's the most important thing. If anything can be happen at any moment, nothing even matters. Imagine a story where characters can die, except sometimes they don't. Magic has limits, except sometimes it doesn't. Ah wait, that's Supernatural after season 5. Don't care, Supernatural is still peak. I watched it twice. Dean deserves better. Yeah, where were we? Ah yes, consistency, yeah. At some point you stop watching the story and you start watching the writer on mushrooms. And honestly, that argument gets used way too often to defend bad writing. Not every criticism means somebody wants realism. Nobody is asking for a fantasy world to obey physics. I am asking for internal logic. And some people like me ask the same thing. If you are say from the start, these are the rules, then fucking follow them till the end. Ah yes, by the way, stories can break their own rules, sometimes it's intentional, sometimes revealing that the rules were incomplete because it's part of the plot. That can be fucking amazing, but there's a difference between a surprising reveal and silly me, I forgot about that. Or
Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
At the end of the day, fiction doesn't stop needing logic. It just uses a different kind of logic. Once your world tells me how the things work, I'm going to expect it to stay consistent. And for 7 hells, if I'm complaining about something, don't tell me
it's fiction, duh.
I felt like making this video after getting frustrated when I opened the comments on the latest House of the Dragon episode. Don't mind me. Maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you don't. Either way, I'm here to give you a place to vent your frustration. Yeah, that's it for today. See you next time, comrades. Bye bye.